how do you fit music into this puzzle of making a movie? Because I'm sure it must have to start early.
Yeah.
And then do you ever have to fight for some of your favorites, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it really the music and the story have to go hand in hand. Even though it's not a traditional musical, it's the music still needs to move the narrative forward. So we really try to stay true, consistent with that. And sometimes it is for a gag, and sometimes it is just kind of a tonal thing, like a mood you want to get the audience into, like putting Sweet Dreams in there. We got that one pretty early on because it just felt like such a great mood for like a villainous theme. But and plus the song is so ubiquitous. It's like everybody knows this song and it's a killer song.
It is just it's a lot of back and forth in the early stages, and as we're putting the story reel together, we're trying things out and we're seeing if it feels like it's bringing the right tone or the right emotion to each moment, and then we're also trying to figure out, okay, which moments call for a song that exists already or a medley of songs that exist already, and which moments call for something original and something that's going to be new and exciting in that way. So a lot of back and forth. Thankfully, with these movies, I feel like we've been able to get most of the songs that we've really wanted into them. Maybe an exception here and there, but for the most part, we've been really fortunate in that we've gotten most of the songs that we've hoped for, if not then some. I think some of the moments in this movie, I'm just like, wow, how did we get so many things to happen in that amount of time?
It's a big part of the budget built in from the beginning. This is
Right.
definitely like the kind of sonic identity of the movie is so important. So we're like, okay, this is a big portion of the budget goes towards that.
And I assume a huge portion of time because you've got to do so much around that. Is there a point where you do rap on the music earlier than say some of the other work, or where does that lie?
Yeah, a lot of it has to happen before we animate it. So it has to end fairly early so we have time to animate the song, but a lot of them are tons of moving pieces. It's always like juggling so many plates. It'll be in various forms. We'll first try like something like the wedding medley, which has, like Tim says, there's like 7 songs in there. Our editor will just cut up the original songs and put them all together. There'll be different keys and different everything. Like, it sounds like madness. I would never have anyone listen to that. Then that goes to one of our music producers, Joe Shirley, and he makes a demo where he does all the voices, and then Justin gets involved and he changed pieces, and Justin adds his vocals. Then we have to go to the cast and record all those vocals. So it's this constant puzzle that you're just layering and layering and layering.
Yeah. Better Place, the big song at the finale, ended up coming fairly late. So a lot of the movie had been animated, and we're kind of waiting to get all those pieces together and recorded and get the whole cast together so that we could get that in and animate it right before sending it out the door. So that was, some of them happen early and some of them come later in the process, but thankfully it all came together one way or another.
Yeah, definitely the original songs are a lot harder to find and take a little bit longer. So we kind of arrange in the schedule to go, okay, we'll get to those a little bit later. Yeah.
Well, in terms of, when you're approaching this, did you have a big goal for the look or the sound or the style or something that you were trying to really approach and encapsulate here?
Yeah, I think a number of things. I mean, I think one is like for a part 3, it's like, how do we stay cohesive to the visual signature of the movie, what we all love, this kind of handmade fiber-based worlds, but how do we give this movie its own identity? Like, so staying cohesive, but giving it its own feel. Always love that Harry Potter done by Alfonso Cuarón. Like that movie it's consistent with the rest of the series, but it's got a life and a tone and a visual language all its own. So I was like, oh, I know we're not that, but like that kind of pushing on our worlds, pushing on our look, new characters we've never seen. So I think that was the idea.
Yeah. And we really leaned into this one being a celebration of pop music, whether it was the boy band hits or like Sweet Dreams from the 80s, or, all these different kind of eras of music are in here, but it is very pop heavy, pop based. And that was different than the last one, which kind of explored different genres a little bit more.
Yeah, a lot of 90s boy band songs and visual influence too. Yeah.
Yes.
I love the BroZone thing. It is so good. I mean, Is there an ultimate boy band though? Is there one that stood out for you guys?
Well, of course, in sync.
Gotta be in.
It's the quintessential one. I mean, we love them all. I know, Tim, you're a big fan of who are we saying?
Oh, Boys to Men
Boyz II
was
Men.
a big favorite of mine back in the day. You know, I was in high school during the big first boom of boy bands, I would say, in the 90s. So
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
there's so many good ones, and for so many different reasons. And we were
Yeah.
just happy to get little nods to so many of them in here.
It's such a part of musical culture, even way back, like even I say the Beatles were like a boy band, and all the way today with the popularity of BTS and everything. It's always been a part of our culture, this aspect of boy band. So it's nice for us to pay homage to it, but also poke a little fun at it too.
Well, the other thing is this cast. I mean, so obviously you've got a lot of returning voices, but then you've got some new folks. What is it like working with this team and then also being able to insert yourselves a little here and there?
Yeah. Yeah, we cast ourselves when we can, Andrew. It was so much fun. This cast is like a lot of people we've been wanting to work with for years, a lot of people who just kind of fit the role. And we get really playful with everybody. Tim and I are inside the booth with the actors. We play all the other characters and we were improvising with them. We definitely have story points we have to hit and we have great writing, but there's a lot of jokes that are improvised. And it really is a feeling we try to get like we're on set creating the scene together.
Yeah, I think everybody gets to feel like an ownership of it. They get to come in and they get to test out ideas and try different things with us, and we're very open to that. We want people to bring themselves to it. We usually steer clear of like doing big cartoony voices or whatever because we feel like that works against the look of the film in a way. Like the look is so weird and almost cute that if you do voice work that way, it could almost push it to the point of feeling like it's too much, right? And we want to ground it in a little bit of just a little bit more realism just with the characters and make it feel very relatable and very universal. So anyway, we always ask the actors to bring themselves as much as possible. And
although Kid Cudi came with a voice he wanted to try, like we had cast him, we talked to him about the movie. He was excited to play the character Clay, and then we didn't see him for 6 months. He went on tour, or we just weren't ready, and then he came in and he had this fully formed voice that he wanted to use. And we're like, yes, it was so funny. And it wasn't like super broad or cartoony. It was just specific to who the character was.
Yeah, so higher than his normal range of speaking, and it worked.
Yeah, but the attitude was so funny. Like it is fantastic. Again, we're very collaborative, very open, and all the actors bring a lot to the roles.
That's amazing. I mean, I've very rarely heard of people. So often the actors are in the booth alone and they're just getting the notes remotely. So it's very cool to hear that you were right in there in the action.
Yeah, I mean, there was some, during COVID, obviously, we couldn't be in there. Right. But as soon as that was done, there's a lot of kind of history of animation where the guys behind the glass was like, could you do it louder, please? Like that whole thing. Like we really established a relationship with everybody, especially with like Anna and Justin, I've been working with for 10 years. So we're really close and they're a part of what makes these characters who they are. Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for the time. I really appreciate it. It's fantastic. The music it sings, obviously.
Thanks, Andrew.